Now, we heard that Uber is really focused on India and China. Our next company, which is Quixey, is also very focused on China and India. And we have the COO of Quixey, which is a mobile search technology company, and Gowrappan is going to be coming up on stage, and he's going to be interviewed by Anson Bailey, who's well known here in the Hong Kong startup community at KPMG.
Let's go,
okay.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you. Another similarity between Quixey and Uber is that they have investments by the Chinese tech titans. Quixey is invested in by Alibaba, and Uber is invested in by Baidu. So, Anson, take it away.
Thanks, Rebecca. Great to be here at Cyberport. Great to have another Silicon Dragon series, Rebecca. It's been a few years now and going stronger than ever. I'm here with Guru. Yeah, have you realized that you look down the list of names, there's some pretty cool names here today, like Johnny Q, that's a cool name, right? That's a very cool name. But come on, let's face it, Guru Gowrappan, that's a pretty cool name. That's a cool. It's much cooler than Napoleon Biggs.
No, my favorite is Napoleon. So I think we're going to switch names.
Oh dear. So Guru, we had a good chat earlier on, and I just didn't realize that we've got a lot of things in common. We've got a lot of things in common. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just talk about a few things. Obviously, we're both big sports lovers. You love cricket, I love rugby. We're very passionate about those sports. We are both big Indian food fans, right? Because I'm English, so that's our national dish.
Chicken tikka masala.
Chicken tikka masala is the national dish. But how about you? What's your favorite Indian dish?
Yellow dal.
That's a bit boring, isn't it? That's a bit boring. And something else, maybe a little known fact, ladies and gentlemen, but both of us, we both had movie auditions. And many years ago, by the way, I got auditioned for Young Sherlock Holmes. Remember that movie, Young Sherlock Holmes? But you got auditioned for a big Bollywood movie, right?
Southern Bollywood. So they call it Collywood, but you can name it Bollywood.
And obviously,
this charming face, hey.
We both got those auditions because we're incredibly good-looking guys, right?
Yes. Can't beat that.
Obviously.
I'm going to do a ramp walk after this.
Anyway, great to have you here. Great to have you in Hong Kong. I was listening to Candice, and I thought that was a great segue into what we're going to talk about, which, of course, is India and China. And great to see, you grew up in Gujarat, but then you went off to the US to seek your fame and fortune. Perhaps you can share with all of us a little bit of a background, because you've been around. You were at, I think, Yahoo for 6 years, and now you're the COO for Quixey.
Yeah. Thanks again for having me here. So I've been, in the internet world for about 15 years, starting from India, doing a couple of startups, and then, of course, Overture, Yahoo, Zynga, and then a Quixey. Throughout, I think China, more so China than India, has been a big priority. I was part of when Yahoo invested in Alibaba back in 2005. I don't know how many people remember here. I was part of the deal team that put the money in. We joke about getting that the deal team should get a lifetime royalty. That's probably the deal of the internet, right? And then even with Zynga, we did a lot of Asia. I used to run Zynga Japan doing that. But again, coming back, China was always an important market. India now is finally following that train. I think what Candice just said, how much for Quixey and also Alibaba, right? How much China, India, and for us, we started in the US. All three markets have been important. But if you look at India as an example, India started off probably in 91, about 15 years behind China. And if you look at, that's when the liberalization of economy happened. A lot of the outsourcing companies came in. The economy started building. The GDP was growing about 4 to 5%. And then 2000 to 2008, is when the middle class kind of urbanization happened, a lot of income growth and setting the foundation. So it went to about 5 to 7 years behind China at that point. And then we are now, I call it the third phase of digitalization, where you have massive mobile penetration. It's mobile first. And I would say we're about 3 to 4 years behind China. So, which is India.
Catching up.
We're catching up pretty fast. So I think, it's foolish and stupid for companies not thinking about China and India. Let it be startups, let it be big companies. People always say it's hard, but I think, look, that's where the market is. It's law of numbers. And I think users are mobile first, unbelievably engaged. Let's take app ecosystem, take the services. They have a huge offline model, very loyal base, young population. That's always good because you can teach them, right?
Yeah.
You take India as an example. The median age is 27-year-old. That's amazing. You can coach them. You can give them new products. You can bring them on board. India, as an example, is adding about 15 million mobile users every month, new, right? And this is crazy. This is the pace you want, where you can go in and coach them and teach them.
Sure. Now, I want to come back. Obviously, your role at Quixey, COO. You've been there since late 2012. And that company has gone from strength to strength. I think you started off, with around 20 people?
Yeah.
How many people do you have now?
We're about 250 people. So just to talk about Quixey, we started as a core search technology company. And just to give you guys all background, we live in a world of apps today, right? Everything, I'm sure everybody here.
What's that quote? What's the number of apps today we're going to see? The number of apps today versus the number of apps in 2020?
I think the market is changing there, so I'll come back and explain that. More than 80% of time spent on your smartphones is on an app. Your phone book is an app, your text message, Uber, bank app, or any of that, right? Each of those apps have several functionalities. So let's take Uber as an example, since we just talked about it. You can split a fare. You can in San Francisco they started the share ride. You can go anywhere in $7 within the city. So there are about probably 15 functionalities within Uber app. Take your banking app, Chase Bank or HSBC. There are probably 30 functionalities. The problem is, these are all locked within apps. There is a big walled garden. Starts with an app store like Google or iOS, and then the apps themselves lock it. Search has changed. The whole idea, so the Quixey's mission is connecting people to the full power of apps, right? So we want to go deeper into the apps, expose those functionalities. I should be able to, at a smartphone level, any device, take smartphone, your TV, your car, anything that's smart, be able to ask a question implicitly or explicitly, say, hey, I'm here, I need an Uber, or I need a taxi. Show me the options, fastest, cheapest, most luxurious, all that, at a functionality level, rather than me going through the process of downloading these 100 apps and consuming that function, installing it and consuming it. So we are going into an ecosystem where downloading apps will not matter, right? So that's why when you talk about, hey, how many apps are going to get downloaded in 2020, our vision where it's going, the app ecosystem will become, the walled garden will go away. These are all going to become collection of software, collection of functionalities that you can call in, order a cab, book a table, send money to somebody, all these functionalities. So that's going to become thousands or millions of functionalities that we can collect, and search is changing that way, right? Search has gone from Google started in the static web of you're looking at information. The new age of people in China, here, India, is all about transaction. You want to do things. It's not just about finding information.
Right.
So that's how the market is changing.
Okay. Now, obviously, I've got to ask you, the gorilla, the 300-pound gorilla in the room, Alibaba. Those guys were obviously, the 60 million, I think it was the $60 million round led by Alibaba. How's that relationship?
Sure.
I know you can't perhaps delve down too deep, but I'm sure everybody here wants to know, how's that relationship going? Because, again, it's fascinating. You're an Indian entrepreneur in the Valley, and now a big focus for you is China.
Yeah. We've raised about $130 million to date. Alibaba led the last 2 rounds. In the last round also we had SoftBank and Goldman Sachs, among others, who came in. It's been great, and I'm going to quote again, I think Candice mentioned earlier, Uber, taking investment from Baidu and finding a local partner. What we did within Quixey at management level, we said, look, China is an important market. India is an important market. And the only way to win in that market is be local.
Right. Trust
a massive partner who can help us get there. So the relationship with Alibaba has been great. I've known them from 2005, the management team. They've been amazing mentors. Much better than I would say an American company, right? The partnership, there is a lot of unbiasedness in terms of how they want to support us.
Right.
I think there's a big difference, guys. I think when you look at Chinese giants companies, they will not shy away from king-making you. They want to help you. I'll tell you, I've worked in the US. I worked with Yahoo, Zynga, and I've seen that world of technology and the big players there. They're very calculated in many ways. Yeah. Now, I would say in the end, everybody's calculated, right? If we do well, everybody else does well. But I've also seen in the US some of the big players, they will try to curtail your growth. They would not want your valuation to go up because, hey, why do you want to create value for somebody else? So with Alibaba, it's been great. I think, as I said, the search world is shifting in many ways. They're funding us, I think shows us that's an important piece. So for us, what is important is finding a right partner in China, since we said China is an important market. 2, alignment on vision and mission, right, which really matters. I think Jack Ma, most of you guys know, has laid out amazing vision for Alibaba, lives it through that long-term dream. Sure. That was important for us. What we are doing is very hard technology-wise and from a product perspective. So finding that partner who is not about, hey, show me something tomorrow, but let's align on long-term roadmap and execute. 3, I think they committed this was a big priority. It's not just we coming in, we're small. Think about us, we're 250 people and you're talking about a 25,000 people company. Being prioritized in that stack, it's pretty hard for any company, including internal teams. So that was important that they saw this as a priority as well, which they did. So in the end, it was also not, the investment and the partnership was not about Alibaba, it was beyond that. It's about China. Right. It's that we want to do the right thing for the users, the whole app ecosystem, what I just explained, how do we break into those walls and make it available for every user in China and India and the US, and then eventually to a lot of other markets.
Okay. Now, Guru, every year, just to share a little story, every year the KPMG Global Tech Innovation Survey gets launched, and we talk about innovation hubs. And every year my American colleagues, they're always saying, well, Silicon Valley's here, it's always going to be at the top, forever and ever and ever. Now, what's your take on that? Because I think we are starting to see some interesting innovation hubs develop, and I sense that my personal view is that China is one of those leaders. I kind of wanted to get your views on that.
Yeah, I think it's a misconception in many ways. I wrote an article on Wired recently where I said China is leading in innovation in many ways. You look at a lot of the US companies too, even though they're innovating, if you want to call it that way, the markets are big in Asia. Take Facebook as an example. The number 2 market for them is India. WhatsApp, the reason they got the valuation and what they did well is because of India. Yeah. So in the end, any company, it's a combination of technology, product, and marketing, right? You got to get all those three things come together to win in the market. I think China has innovated. Now, of course, there are concerns many times about, hey, things get copied. Things, if you don't do it right. My view is, if you have a great product, great technology, great marketing, and you got traction, and China has led their way. You talk about WeChat, you talk about QQ, all the phenomena that it's created. Even Alibaba, what it does on commerce, nobody's even close, right? I think people don't spend time explaining that really well. So my view is China is already leading. That's kind of my bias, given that I'm operating in that market. India's fast following. As I said, it's 3 years behind. I think right now India is in this hype mode, but it's getting over that because suddenly you have 120 million users on smartphone, which is going to triple in the next 3 years. You're going to see a lot of that innovation. Now, in the end, it doesn't matter if your innovation comes from Valley. You have to still localize for the market. I think Uber has done that in China. We've done that really well. It's about China first or India first. It's not about what we built.
So we're not going to see the demise of China and India replacing China anytime soon?
No, not at all. I think there's, probably we have to come back and do another prediction cycle at some point. But right now, I think the market is big enough. I mean, you look at, let's talk about, Alibaba and all the big companies in China. They're focusing on China still, right? That's their number one priority.
It's a big market.
It's a big market. And they still say they're just scratching the surface, right? I think it's just getting started. So when you look at US is in this optimization mode. Right now, you're milking every cent you can get out of users, right? China, India, you're just getting users on your devices first.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And I was in India just a few weeks ago. One thing, there's definitely, there's a buzz, with the new Modi government. We were meeting some very interesting boys and girls from the likes of Flipkart and other people. But there really is a very positive buzz right now in that Indian marketplace. Yeah, and you travel there on a very regular basis.
Right. I'm in the region every 2 weeks in China and India, or sometimes 3 weeks, and then.
So you're obviously a double platinum card holder.
Something. I think I'm going to write a book called
on an airline like United.
We should write a book called Constant Jet Lag. I don't know, but India. The buzz, everything is real. I was in a meeting March 30th with the Prime Minister of India. We were, I chair a committee for entrepreneurship and skills development.
Okay, for the Prime Minister's office.
Yeah, in the Prime Minister's office.
Okay.
So part of that, I was with the PM, Modi, and I've seen the governments there and how India's operated in the past. People have heard about corruption and a lot of things that's happened there. But there's a big change. I think there are a lot of things that are coming together, right?
Yeah.
The mass adoption of kind of mobile users changing the young nation, plus the government being really supportive. And you will not believe the amount of time the Prime Minister himself spends on technology, promoting technology, and making India, digital India. So one of the quotes they talk about, it's what we say is India today plus information technology is India tomorrow. And they mean it. And his entire office has been focusing a lot. So I think,
and it is very much a mobile-first economy, isn't it?
It's a mobile. I mean, this is
focus.
This is a classic market at scale, which has skipped the entire laptop PC generation. There is nothing there, right? This is all. I mean, today, use case: farmers use WhatsApp to get customer support on their farming side. Any of their machines break, they take a picture of whatever has happened, they send it, immediately they get a call. That's how, and this, you don't need to be educated. Mobile, the reason, to be honest, I think why it's smart is you don't have to be smart in a way. You can leverage the apps, what it comes with, really leverage that to make it easy. And most of Indian consumers are doing that.
Now, you're in a fascinating position because you're in the Valley, you're in China, you're in India and places like Bangalore. So what a lot of entrepreneurs in the room right now, and I'm sure they're scratching their heads thinking, well, the China market, the India market, really tough markets. So, are they really tough markets? And what do these entrepreneurs need to do to be successful in those markets?
Right. I think at a general level, I would say every market is tough, right? I think US is very hard today.
Sure.
If you want, I'll take Quixey as an example. We started in the US, but China actually became our leading market. It's majority of, if you look at our metrics, our users, our volume, all that stuff, China has been leading. So to be successful, I would say when you're small, let it be very, very early stage, or you're going through the growth stage, find a partner. I think it's so important you find a great partner. We found Alibaba helping us all the way through. Finding a partner is important too. Localize heavily, which means, I always say that it's not about Quixey China, but it's China Quixey. So it's about China first.
Right.
Right.
Good. That's a very good.
That's very important philosophy. And operating mindset you need to go into market with. So be very, very local. It's about how the users are in the market, how the partners are, build that. And the third one, I would say, you have to keep it very contained. Like a lot of companies, the reason I would say Amazon, eBay, all these guys tried China in the past. And when they didn't do it, they did it as an expansion strategy. There was nothing called you're the GM of the market, you get a contained team and execute. You got to focus on that. It's your market, fully contained, siloed team in a way. Connects to, let's say, Bay Area, but you're leading it. Right. And we care about that.
Am I right in thinking you've got a team in Beijing?
Yeah, we have about 20 people right now. We'll probably more than double in next 3 to 5 months. That's our goal in Beijing. Of course, we travel a lot to Hangzhou given our partnership with Alibaba, but Beijing is where our base. We are building a small team in Hong Kong as well, more from a business standpoint. We have a team in Bangalore. We acquired a company last year, about 18 people in Bangalore.
Okay, and obviously lots of young budding entrepreneurs here in this room, and a few older entrepreneurs like Napoleon. But what are your 5 top tips for the entrepreneurs sitting in the room today? Guru?
Okay. I would say number 1 is customer first. I think anything you're doing, you are touching a customer. Customer first. 2, I would say 0 to 1, which is classic thing. Everybody thinks about scaling immediately. Get your product market fit 0 to 1 right. 3, I would say team and values matter a lot. A lot of companies fail when you don't have the right team, founding team, the value system, what you have there. 4, I would put it under don't have the entitlement culture. I think that takes down a lot of companies. You shy away investors, you shy away partners. Leave your ego at the door, when you come in. So I would definitely say that. And I think the last one is India and China is happening. So do it now.
Yeah, India and China is happening. Do it now, ladies and gentlemen. Also, what are some of the top? What are some of the key trends that you're seeing right now in the market that we all need to be aware of?
Yeah, I would say, I think the first one, people have been talking about Internet of Things. I think what the app ecosystem and the device ecosystem, wearables, is doing is bridging everything. So Internet of Things is massive. By 2020, around that year, you're going to see about between 30 to 50 billion devices connected. So whoever is in that space, the IoT is fairly big. 2, big data. One of the things we were talking about, big data is going to become your middle management, right? That's your decision-making layer for every company. And there are many ways, analytics, how you show it, how you leverage it at scale. Alibaba is a great example of that. So big data is massive. 3, I think healthcare is, at least in the US, we're finally seeing great traction. There's no valuation hype, but I think they're solving real problem in the healthcare world. I think that's going to catch on fairly big in the next 3 to 5 years. And the last one, I would say education. I know we talk about ed tech in a way. I think universities and college ecosystems are doing poor job training the new and the young to get a job or go and do a startup. So there's a lot of new education technology companies coming up, teaching them the right skill sets. So ed tech will be fairly big.
Okay, now we've got to wrap up, probably just 1 or 2 minutes more. But when I was checking you out, I came across a number of interesting articles, and they referred to you as the fixer. So what's that mean? Do you take people out, dispose of people?
Close enough.
In that movie Pulp Fiction, Napoleon?
Don't mess with me,
the
right?
Cleaner, right? That was the cleaner, not the fixer.
No, I think I do get close enough. No, I'm kidding. I think all of this comes to, and this is probably for all the entrepreneurs, I think you have to do whatever it takes to get a thing done, whatever it takes to get it done, right?
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Beg, borrow, steal, but don't kill.
Okay.
But it is important to have that work ethic and attitude.
Sure.
We are in a world where things we used to change every few years. It went to every few quarters, every few months. Now it's every minute in a way. Yeah. So you have to be that nimble and agile to get things done and connecting people and leaving your ego. I talked about the tip. So I think that's what, whatever they refer to me as I've been always doing. things in a way where you are thrown into a tough problem, you get it done. I don't think there is any word called impossible when you're an entrepreneur. You got to follow that.
Great. And I just noticed when you handed over your card, you've got a Chinese name.
Yes.
So So I've got a Chinese name. My name's Mr. Lee. Your name, it's true. Lee Onsong. So your Chinese name is Mr. Kung. Do you know that? You're
I've
Mr.
got
Kung.
a very traditional
Kung Kung
name.
Yu.
I've got a very traditional name. I chose
Yes.
to be pure Chinese that way.
That's good. See? Do you have a Chinese wife like me?
No.
No, okay. Never mind. Got to say that. Now, a couple of final wrap-up points. We all talk. It's a high-pressure job. You are there 24/7 as the COO. What do you do to release? What's the pressure valve release? What do you do in your spare time? I'm sure everybody wants to know. What?
Wow. It's a good question. I don't know if you guys heard about SoulCycle. It's a big spinning thing happening in the US. I found a spot in Hong Kong finally. It's called XYZ. So I whenever I land or I'm stressed out, I make sure I get it's what I call it spinning, dancing, meditation together.
Listen, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
But what?
And
I was doing it last night.
And cooking.
And Monday night. Cooking.
Cooking is.
So you cook a pretty mean chicken tikka masala then?
Yes, it's very therapeutic. Let me put it that way.
Very
a glass
therapeutic.
of wine and cooking goes well.
That's very important. For me, my pressure valve release is rugby. I just like to get on that rugby pitch and beat people up. But I'm going to beat you up because you're a good guy. Now, if you weren't the COO of Quixey, what would you really like to do? I mean, I know you really like to be the CEO of Quixey, but if you had a choice, you could have any job in the world, what would you do?
I'd be in the pit crew of Formula One Ferrari F1 team. That's what I would do.
Why not Williams?
Hey man, you got to bleed red.
Or McLaren. We've got a partnership with McLaren.
That's right.
Yeah, data analytics, but that's a different story.
That's what I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'll agree. Great insights from Guru. Please join me in thanking Mr. Guru Gowrappan. Thanks, mate. Thank you,
guys.
Yeah, definitely. You would have to pay big tuition to get all the lessons here just from these last 2 case studies. So thank you, Anson, and
thank
you, Guru. Really appreciate it.